Joey and Mandy, everything divorce related. We can put the S back in your ex appeal. Joey and Mandy, the friends you didn't know you needed on my ex appeal. And everything divorce podcast.
Hi guys, welcome to my Ex Appeal, your everything divorce podcast. My name is Joey Camaro and I'm here with
Mandy Baker.
And we are the friends that you didn't know you needed. That's
correct.
Always. If you are back, welcome back. And if you are new here, welcome to the party, bitch.
Yeah, it's exciting. This is going to be a good one.
Yes. So, Mandy, today we have a snuggle therapist. You heard that right.
I'm excited about this, and it makes you so uncomfortable, which I don't know how to feel about that because I love to snuggle. I love snuggling.
It's not that I don't like it. I live very hot anyway, very hot all the time. And I don't like, do you like PDA? Are you good with PDA then? Or are you behind the scenes cuddling?
I mean, we'll hold hands.
Okay.
In public, we're always touching somehow. Either it's a leg or his hand is on my leg. One of his nephews one day, because we always sit really close together, like we can share two butts in one seat to watch football games or something. And his nephew, who's in high school, was so grossed out. He was like, y'all sit so close to each other. I was like, I like him. I need to have him near me. That's my love language. I love touching him. I just have to have that hand on me. But as far as like mugging down in public, no.
What did you say? Mugging what?
Mugging down, like kissing. And y'all say that?
No.
That's foreign. What do you say? Make it out?
I guess, yeah. If I was 13, but yeah,
okay,
out. I've never heard.
Same thing with us, I guess. If I was 13, I live with 13-year-olds, so
mugging out. Oh,
mugging out. But will we kiss in public? A pet, but not complete make out. But no, we'll hold hands. Absolutely.
Okay.
How about you and Mark?
So, I mean, I like him. It's not that I don't like. I'm just kidding. No, I like being with him all the time. I like we have, a good relationship where we want to be together all the time. But I don't feel comfortable. There's been a couple times where I'm ordering dinner to the waitstaff and he's rubbing my leg and I'm like, that's to me, just stop. And you know what you can't do? If you put if he puts his hand on my back when I'm eating, I don't know it's like instantly I want to throw punch him. I don't know.
Why would he want to touch you while you're eating though? Like you're eating.
Exactly. I'm eating. I don't so there's just times that I just need space. So
well, yeah, you and my sister would get along very, very well. She does not like to be touched whatsoever. And I will even send her pictures of Brandon and I, when we're watching TV and our feet are touching. We're at a restaurant and that's her exact response. She's like, ew. She's like, you're so gross. But I love her. My nephew, I love him because he loves to touch her. And she's like, get my son off me. And I'm like, no,
God, I'm not that
touch her again. Touch her again. Give her a hug.
Not that bad. That's too funny. Yeah, I'm not that bad. But I get where she's coming from on some of them. So, but we're going to learn. We're going to learn from Sam. She just got here. Ding dong. She just welcomed. So I'm going to let her in. Her name's Sam Varnerin. Okay. Snuggle therapist. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Okay. I'm going to let her in.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Okay. My Ex Appeal listeners, welcome back. We have Sam Varnerin with us. Yay, Sam.
I know, I'm excited.
Sam is a cuddle therapist, right, Sam?
Yes.
And she is joining us, and we are so grateful because this is probably the most interesting subject of all time. And I know that a lot of people want to know more about this. So we are so happy to have you here, Sam. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Joey and Mandy. And also, I didn't realize it was the most interesting topic in history. I know it's pretty interesting. I usually get questions everywhere I go, but the most interesting.
I think it's super interesting.
Yes. And
I think
don't,
it's just,
yeah. Who wouldn't want to know about snuggle therapy? Like, honestly. So wait, so I always say snuggle therapy, but it's cuddle therapy. Or is there a special way that you say, is it always cuddle therapy, or do you call it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally I refer to it as cuddle therapy because in my field, that's the term that we've decided describes what we do the best. Granted, our work has really only been in the US since maybe 2009. So it's really a young field, 25 years or so. So it's like, we're still trying to figure out exactly the best way to present it to the general public. When I first started back in 2015, the agency I worked through called it professional snuggling, which is where the name for my company, Snuggle with Sam, came from. Also because the alliteration is kind of nice. So people tend to Google my company name, and that's how they find me, which is helpful. But then professional cuddling came out, and there's a lot of people that still use that term. In fact, I still use that term a lot because there's a lot of people that are still in this day and age really not interested in anything with the word therapy in it. And those people are the ones that need cuddle therapy the most. And oftentimes my work ends up being a gateway for them to decide that they might need more support in other ways that are therapy related. So if I'll refer to it as cuddle therapy and professional cuddling interchangeably personally, some of my colleagues that have been in this work as long as I have or longer will refer to it as cuddle therapy because they want to make it more of a professionally known field.
Right. It sounds more professional to be therapy, but then there are some people who won't even go to any type of therapy.
Yeah.
So why would they walk into cuddle therapy? So tell us a little bit about you and how you even you woke up one day and you were like, cuddle therapy. Yes, that's what I'm going to cuddle. So you cuddle adults. Correct. Yeah. So you woke up one day and you were like, I need to cuddle adult.
I wish it was that easy. In fact, it's maybe a step above that of how easy it was at the time for me to get into it. I was following somebody that was basically just another entrepreneur on the internet that I heard from another podcast that he was kind of weird. He was interested in doing a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors. And I was like, you're weird. I like you. I'm kind of a weird person. I'm going to follow you. Kind of just signed up for his newsletter and that was that. And I just, every week when he sent it out, I would just open his newsletter and listen to his thoughts. And I was like, oh, interesting person. One week in October 2015, he sent one out and I opened it. And it was even just a line in passing where he just was talking about target markets, which has nothing to do with my field at all on the surface. But he goes, okay, how would you be marketing a service if it was for a zoologist or a middle school teacher or a professional snuggler? And then he put in parentheses, very distinctly, I remember this is a profession that people actually get paid for. And the fact that he put that there very specifically just made me open up another tab on my computer. No, this is not a real job. If it is, I'd be so good at it. And I was so nonchalant about thinking that. And looking back, I kind of see why. For one, at that point, I had been doing dance sport, which is ballroom dancing in competition settings for about I want to say 5-6 years, maybe. At that point. And that requires for you to be in contact with another person's body at a very close level, hip to hip. Whereas from the outside looking in, you're looking at that type of contact. You're like, oh, that's really intimate. I don't know how I'd feel about that. Whereas for us, we're like, whatever, we're just dancing. We're going to keep going with what we're doing. Yeah. Not a big deal. But also I was that kid growing up, even when I went home from college, back at home, if I woke up early, I'd go to my mom's room and be like, can I just crawl into bed and cuddle with mom? So that never really left me, that side of me. And then on top of all that, my previous career was actually in construction engineering, with most people are like, that seems really out there. But there's surprisingly transferable skills because I was a woman in engineering. So oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of the emotional labor skills that are associated with those kinds of jobs ended up being on my shoulders instead of my male counterpart. But being able to navigate that actually like helped strengthen that muscle. So I was like, well, I'm not getting paid for this part. So like, I want to do a job where that's actually valued then and actually recognized with pay. So that was kind of what got me to move in that direction. So I did what most people should not do, and I recommend people don't do. I basically saw the first thing on Google for professional snuggling, and it was an agency that happened to have other people in the area that were also listed on the site. So I was like, okay, there's a market here, like in Boston already. I'm not just doing this blind. I applied and they emailed me like a day later saying like, we want to make sure that you're very clear on like what you're getting into and what you need to know to prepare. I did appreciate that, even though like beyond that, they really didn't give me all that much preparation. And I got started like a couple days later.
So just like that.
Just like that.
From construction, where I know being a female in that industry is it's hard because it is completely male dominated. And going from that to, I'm going to have an office with a bed in it. Yeah. And we're going to snuggle
bed over there.
And you're in your office right now.
Yeah, no, this is Harold right here. He's one of my mascots in my office.
I love how.
Yes, Harold.
It's so fun. Mandy thinks it's fun. So did you talk to your coworkers and people in your industry and say, well, I'm no longer going to be an engineer, and your parents, by the way, who you probably went through school, you went to a really good school. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you tell everybody, your family, your coworkers, I am going to leave this and go cuddle with adult.
So no, that's not how that went down.
Okay. All right.
I did this work on the side for about a year. And I never really thought that I was going to leave engineering for it. I figured I'm in debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, like just generally being a 20-something that doesn't know how to manage money, even though I thought I knew how to manage money. And then having a little bit more income coming in, it was just like, okay, I need to actually learn how to manage this money now because there's no reason this should be disappearing. That was helpful. So for a year, I really didn't tell anybody. I told maybe 2 people, 3 maybe. And then at one point I went to a conference and I decided at this conference, it was called the World Domination Summit, not a kink conference. It's not a villain conference. It's a conference that was named by Chris Guillebeau. And he just decided like, this is a conference for people that want to live unconventional lifestyles. So I went to this conference in 2016 thinking, you know what, I'm just going to be open with everybody I talk to that I'm a construction engineer and a professional snuggler. And just, that's it. Because everybody's very open about what they do, all the things that they're interested in. They're multi-passionate. So I want to talk about that. And within 2 days, somebody came up and said, somebody else told me that you're a professional snuggler. I'd like to interview for my blog. And I goes, okay, great. And I figured it was like a rinky-dink blog, maybe with like 1,000 people going to their site a month or something like that. After the conference, they emailed me. It was not their personal blog. They were a senior editor for The Penny Hoarder, and they have about 1 million hits a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and they wanted to do a feature cover story on me. And I was just thinking like,
only 3 people in my circle know that I do.
Yeah. So at that point I was like, I need to come out to my conservative parents that I am doing this work, because otherwise somebody is going to send them this article when it goes out and saying, did you know your daughter is doing this? So I went home, I sat my parents down for like brunch, talked to them. They had questions. Within a week, they came back and just yelled at me that I was throwing my life away. Because remember, I was the first woman engineer in my family. That was a big feat.
Yeah.
That was a badge of honor that like I was going places in life. And I was about to throw that away for this field that really hadn't seen big successes. Most of the industry had articles online that were really not that promising and mostly led to it really referenced a lot of SA from the practitioner side, which is really sad. And honestly, within that first year of doing the work, I mean, I'm grateful and thankful and privileged that I didn't run into something quite to that extent, but I did see over and over again how easy it was for boundaries to get violated. And I didn't really have the language when I first started how to navigate that. But what I did know was that I did not want a a single person going into this field to ever have to deal with that. And unfortunately, it still happens. But I didn't realize that I want to keep going and putting myself out there so that people know that there are ways to go about this work from a place of love and compassion and care for the client, and still hold your boundaries as like the most important thing.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because as a parent, I would think that would be their first concern too, is how does Sam protect herself from someone with ill intention who might be looking at this to take it to another level that you obviously aren't advertising for, and you're viewing it one way, they're viewing it another way. So how do you say and lay those boundaries down? Do they accept your no? Do you say no? Do you have, what does that look like?
Yeah. So let me start. There's a couple pieces to that. So the first one is that, let's talk a little bit about the sex work industry, which for somebody that doesn't do sex work, I had to end up learning a lot about the sex work industry just so I can understand how to navigate it and differentiate myself from it. So a quick story time, like maybe within the first 6 months of doing this work, I had some client reach out to me and ask if I did full service. Me, being the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Catholic schoolgirl, innocent person that I was, thought that they just wanted all the cuddles.
Oh, blow.
Yeah. So they came over and took, I won't specify exactly what the action was right now, but like, it was something that it hit me that like instantly as it happened, I was like, oh, I made a mistake with how I was communicating. So I immediately was just like, oh, no, that's not what this is about. And thankfully, and I am so grateful this went down this way, he stopped doing it and left.
Oh, wow.
Like, and that was it.
So that could have so wrong.
They could have gone so much worse, but it was in that moment that I'm like, I need to learn what the heck is going on so I know not to run into this again.
Well, where are you? I'm sorry, but back then though, when this happened, and you said that you were doing it on the side, right? It was a side gig then, basically. Where were you? Because now you have a designated office, but I'm assuming back then maybe you didn't.
No, back then, like many practitioners today, I worked out of my home. I was in a 3-bedroom apartment on a small street, and I learned in short period of time that like I meet people outside at first before I let them into my private home. I never give them my street address because I don't want them to have that in writing. Like, I thought through every logistical safety thing and felt very comfortable. But like looking back now, I'm like, I wouldn't feel good about that now. I just don't. But back then I was like, let's step back. I was in my early 20s, which that is not the excuse. I was in my early 20s, heavy in debt, in a career I didn't like. In my head, I had very little to lose.
Yeah. That's until you're there, and then you're like, oh my gosh.
No, even in that moment, I was like, it didn't hit me until months, maybe years later, like what had actually happened, to be like, oh, that was not okay. And that could have gone a lot worse. Like,
so this was in your house still. So then even after this happened with this person, you're still bringing people back to your house even after that?
I had created so many safety precautions at that point that I was just like, even if the absolute worst happened, there were so many safety checks in my head of like the neighborhood that I was in. Like, they were all up in each other's business. Like, if something was wrong, the neighborhood knew. If like my roommates, like they were not going to just let anybody into the house that they did not already know. My own landlord who came by, like I had thought of, and then even like they didn't have it in writing, they could have easily gotten the house wrong. Even if they recognized the house, if people didn't answer the door, I was on the second floor, they could have gotten the wrong one. Like, there was just so many things that I was just like, yeah, like even if God forbid they were so determined, like I felt very safe, and they couldn't track my patterns for schedule because I was in my 20s. I didn't have a schedule. They couldn't figure out where I'd be at any given time. I didn't know where I was going to be at any given time.
So how do you put those boundaries in place? Do you do it before they even come into your office? Do you do it in writing? Like, what does that look
Thumbs up.
I love that you're like, I don't even know what you're gonna say. I'm all for it.
I mean, yeah, this is just giving you a thumbs up. Out of control. Yeah.
No, but how do you walk me through the no? Because how do you adjust? How do you settle in? Do you say no? Do they accept the no? Like, I'm just super curious about that.
Yeah. So right now, I'm in the same office that Joey's in, on the same floor even. I don't have people come into this room with me for their first half hour. There's a cafe indoors downstairs on the first floor. While they come to this floor so they know where they're going, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to try to figure it out. Like even if somebody was determined to try to find me, they'd probably get lost. I meet them up here and then we go downstairs together and we sit and talk for a half hour. Now that may be about whatever they want to talk about. It may be about just what has brought them in here in the first place. I may even guide them through some exercises to kind of get a feel for where they are as far as consent and understanding of their access to want, or understanding the difference between a choice and an offering, just to get a feel for how much consent work do I need to do in order for you to feel comfortable and safe? Because if somebody's coming to my office and we're sitting down to talk, at that point, they have already seen enough of the information that I put out there. I've been in this for 8 years. I have so much on my own personal website that people go through. I have an orientation video that they have to respond to in the video in order to even be able to book the session. They have all the information. I even say in there, if I find that you're looking for erotic work in that half hour, I will turn you away and you won't get your money back. You've been warned. So at that point, people don't want to waste their money. They're going to come in for legitimate reasons. And that has worked really well for me. So what I do within that first half hour isn't so much if I feel safe with this person, as much as how can I best help this person in this moment? And it's going to be different for every person. I'll say that there is one connecting piece that I see with every person that comes in my door, is that from the successful CEO that owns their own tech company, all the way down to the 19-year-old that moved from the boonies in Ohio to come to Boston, and the population of the university is higher than the population in their hometown. They all have something in common, and it's that they feel disconnected. So that's the main general problem that I see. And then it's just kind of zeroing in on where does that disconnect come from, and how can I support that? Not just in the moment so they feel connected, but also so that after a session or a couple sessions, they're building the skills so that they can go back out into the world and feel connected with the world at large and build their own community so that they are connected with others.
So interesting. It is, and she's a very nice person, by the way. But because to me, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around this whole thing, and I promise you, I'm trying.
I don't blame you.
So it seems like it's either somebody's interested in it or somebody thinks it's so completely foreign. I'm sure you get both, people who come to you and they're like, I get it. I'm interested. I want to learn more. And then, or a Mandy who's always sounds very interesting. I love it. And then someone like me who's I can't wrap my brain around it. I can't believe that you sit in an office and a stranger comes in and you don't know what they smell like, or all these. Yeah. What if they're dressed weird? I love both.
Sorry, Joey.
No, it's great. There's so much going on.
It's great. So, Mandy, can I ask what you define as dressed weird?
Oh, I read that's weird. This game. Careful on that one. I guess I'm in Texas, naked. Right? So more naked, more skin showing than you're comfortable with. Short, booty shorts, crotchy short. Maybe for a woman, a lot of her chest showing, tank top, very little clothing.
Okay.
And I guess it's not dressed weird, but dressed more provocatively, where it could, for cuddling, I would think you would want some kind of a boundary with a dress code.
Sure. And that can, I'll say right now, that can be pretty subjective from practitioner to practitioner. For example, Menti, you said you're in San Antonio, right?
Well, I'm in Dallas.
You're in Dallas. Okay. So a little bit further out from San Antonio. But there's a San Antonio practitioner, Janet Trevino. She's a very famous cuddler. She has tons of YouTube videos.
Okay.
I would say a lot of her dress code boundaries is a bit more broad than what I would describe, because she has, but she also navigates, just like me, the meaning behind those clothing requests or like needs as well. So like if somebody had asked her, like, can you not wear a bra? Like for me, I'd say no, absolutely not. Like, no, I have to wear something because I am not comfortable with that.
Right.
For her, she may be like, I can understand, like, what's the purpose of me not wearing a bra? Is there an erotic intent or is there something else? I want to know. Like, tell me about that. And so she'll dig into that to find the answer. And then if it ends up being like, bras have like straps and weird like metal parts that are really uncomfortable on my skin and I'm autistic and I really don't like that, that's a valid reason to not do that. And she's like, okay, I can work with that. For me, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, I need to wear a bra and I need to be comfortable with what I'm wearing. Like even what I'm wearing right now, this is a long sleeve. I don't always wear long sleeves to work. I always maintain body autonomy for myself and what I'm comfortable with that day. The only times I entertain clothing requests is if there's a sensitivity to certain fabric. So if somebody's like, I can't wear cotton, or I can't handle the texture of cotton, or I would prefer you wear like sports, like almost like wicking textures because that's better for me and that won't distract me from things. That's valid for me. If somebody has a religious reason, like I went to Philadelphia and I had a man that was just like, you're coming into my home. You need to wear like a skirt or a dress, which to me is an automatic no. But then he like legitimately reached out and goes, I'm apostolic Catholic. That's pretty common in Philadelphia. Can we talk about this? Because I don't have any intention to do anything weird. And I go, okay, well, can I wear leggings or yoga pants underneath the skirt? And he goes, absolutely. Yes, that's totally fine with me. I'll go, okay, I can work with that. And the last one is if somebody requests that I wear more clothing, because for me, I might wear tank tops. I might wear short sleeve shirts, depending on the day. But for some people, they're really uncomfortable with that because for them, that is considered erotic based on whatever their religion is or their own comfort level. So some people might actually request that I wear a long sleeve shirt or long pant or something like that. And I'm okay with that as well. So those requests are fine. It's when it goes the opposite direction where can you wear less clothing that then I question the why. And then I'm wondering, are you trying to dictate my body autonomy for your own self-gratification? Because if that's the case, that's not really the intention of my session. And that's where we really want to go. As far as clients, I ask them to wear bare minimum tank top and gym short all the way up to a tuxedo. And yes, I have cuddled somebody in a tuxedo before. It was not comfortable for either of us. It was very polite, but yeah, I wouldn't do it again. But my point being is that if you're wearing a top that covers your entire torso, and you're wearing gym shorts, minimum, can't be boxer shorts. Essentially,
do you have a length? Do you have like fingertip length or nipple length? Or
honestly, it's not relevant to me because I might not necessarily be touching their legs all that much anyways, unless we actually have a conversation about wanting to touch there. So it really doesn't matter to me. But what I generally tell people is like, will you go out and talk to your 90-year-old neighbor in this outfit for 30 minutes while you're getting the paper? That's kind of the gut check I give people to decide is what they're wearing appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had said that a reason, the biggest reason why people are coming in, but what are different reasons for people to come in that you've seen over the years? Is it loneliness? Is it because they want to learn how to cuddle? Like, is it instructional for some people, or is it mostly like how you said disconnected? But what are some reasons? What are people saying to you? Why are they there?
Yeah. So what was it? Is it 2017 or 2018? There was a big movement here, the Me Too movement. And during that time, I realized that there was a particular niche of people that I really enjoyed working with. And that was the men that, as a result of the Me Too movement, realized they made the first connection of, oh, maybe I'm the problem, that all of my female friends are holding me at arm's length. Maybe I need to do something different. But also, I need a hug. I love working with that kind of person. There's a lot of complexity within that because, as you can imagine, like somebody like that is probably experiencing a lot of their own isolation, a lot of their own ostracization, because like they may have been ousted out of communities. So they're dealing with like losing and grief too. So there's a lot of complexity around that too. And then also like whatever kind of like mental health disorders like get aggravated through that. Not necessarily things that were necessarily there before, but even just like things that just naturally would come up because the circumstances kind of call for pretty hard feelings to come up. But like most men, if they were raised in somewhat of a very like toxic stuff down your feelings environment, they're not going to address them, but they're going to come up really strongly and they're not going to know what the heck to do with them. And at least I have the space to be able to hold big feelings with another person and let them have them. And this is a space where it's like, you're not going to scare me. I will let you know where my limit is, but the chances are you're not going to hit that limit unless you start threatening me. Which, if you're not threatening me and you just have big feelings that you're feeling like you feel violent about your feelings, but you're not feeling violent towards anything, that's okay.
So wait, hold up. What does that mean? So so someone could be, so when you say big wrap my brain around this. So when you say big feelings and they're feeling like, are they getting actually emotional and they're getting like, could they get angry and you're just not afraid? Are you just not afraid of anything, Sam? You're literally not afraid of anything. Is she not afraid of anything? Am I everything? You're a little afraid of everything, Joey. Just
To be fair, I have done, I mean, I'm trying not to swear, but I know you said I can. I've done a shit ton of internal work in the past, like 10 years or so in particular, around ownership of feelings, because just because somebody's mad doesn't mean that they're necessarily mad at me. So I don't need to take on that anger and make it about me just because they have that feeling. They're allowed to have that feeling. And that's a really hard skill to do. A lot of people don't know how to do. In fact, I think I would probably say like 90% of the population will feelings all about them when it has nothing to do with them. And that's where a lot of the conflict between people come from.
And so you're saying that through physical touch, they're able to kind of calm down. Am I assuming this correctly, that through physical touch and being able to not redirect those feelings, but being able to have an outlet of feeling seen or touched or heard, that they can lower the scale of those feelings?
I would say that touch is one major tool. It's the tool that I market. That is a form of communication that I can use with my clients. I would actually say that for a lot of my sessions, touch isn't the main focus. It happens to be the thing that draws people in because the impulse to be held or hold on to something is what draws people in to come to me. But what actually gets people to stay and realize that there's value into coming for sessions is actually that they're with somebody that cannot just physically hold them, and it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything more than just, I am here for you. It doesn't mean that we're going to go on a date. It doesn't mean that we have to change our entire lives around whatever this relationship is, but that I'm just here for them. And then they can go back to their own life. And I wish them the best. I want them to have an amazing life, whether I'm in it or not in any capacity. But also that I have the emotional capacity to be able to hold them. And that's
important. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they go hand in hand, because if you have the physical side, but they can't hold you emotionally, that's not necessarily safe. It can be for some people, But I find that the combination of the two is vital. Like you have to marry the two. It's funny to say on a divorce podcast, but
You can say it. It's not a bad word.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm glad you said that, because that actually it's becoming a little bit more normal for me now. But because actually in mediation and divorce coaching, people get emotional. We can't take it personal. They're not, even if they kind of look directly at us and get mad at us for something, we try to never take it personal. They're just, so I understand that. So let me ask you this. I don't know if you can tell me this or not, but what is this? Is it mostly guys that are coming in, girls? Is it a whole mixed thing? Like, I can't imagine. See, what I already don't love cuddling with somebody, and I certainly just wouldn't want to do it with a stranger. I think that's probably like the biggest thing. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it with a stranger. But so is it guys, girls, everybody's? It's he, he's, she's, they's, everyone. Like actually a population that started to grow within my clientele has been people either early or midway through their transition. Okay.
Makes sense.
And age group, all different age groups? Is there an adult?
Again, youngest I've ever seen was 19. Oldest I've ever seen was 75. These days, I would say the majority of my clients is somewhere between like the 22 to 40 range. I couldn't tell you exactly why. I imagine that because that is mostly millennials and late Gen Zs, there's a lot of anxiety there. Gee, I wonder why.
Right? Struggling through life. So walk me through. I walk through that your door behind you. So we met in the cafe. You know that I'm not too much of a psycho. Maybe not. We don't know. We're going to put you in the room. And I walk through the room and I'm like, what are you telling me? What are we doing? We're getting into bed. You have a bed in there?
You do, but that's not necessarily where people go. So I have a chair, like literally right behind my chair. I always direct people to the chair. There's an ottoman right next to it. And I say, use the chair however you need to. Take off jackets, take things out of your pocket. Because I've cuddled with somebody with keys in their pocket before. That was not comfortable. I might make a joke about that. There's water for you. There's some mints there if you are like self-conscious about your breath. You can sit here. I'm going to sit on this corner on the edge of my queen size bed. I'll pan very quickly if it
Please. Yes. I was hoping she was going to pan. Okay. All right. We got a salt lamp. So is that like a pillow couch, or is that what it always looks like, a day bed type of thing?
Yeah, it's a queen size day bed.
Okay. You got a fan.
Yeah, it's not stripped yet because I just had a session. So I normally strip it and change the sheets and stuff. So it's a little,
okay. So you sit over on the bed and you're like,
yeah,
waiting to see what happens next.
Once they get all their stuff out of their pockets, they kind of seem to settle in, and I close the door. This light goes off because it's super bright, but it's still pretty bright with that light on, because you do not need a fluorescent light in your eyes. Then I turn to them and ask, would you like a hug first? And if they do, we stand and hug. And then we talk, if they want to. At that point, we've already talked for an hour, not an hour, a half. We've talked for
half an hour.
At that point, we have talked for a half hour. I can do this. So at that point, there might not be a whole lot of talking to do. So at that point, I have made it very clear, though, that like, this is not me telling you what to do. This is not me cuddling you however I think you need to be cuddled. This is your session, and I'm not the expert on what you want. I'm just not. I may know a lot of things about cuddling. I like to think I do. I've been doing this for 8 years. But it's not about what I think is best for somebody. They know that. The things that might get in the way is asking for it because they may not think they're worthy of it. So that might not necessarily be accessible in the first session. That's what I tried to assess a little bit in that first half hour. They may not even know what they want because they never actually had to explore it. Again, another thing I assessed in that first half hour. And there may be things that they kind of automatically go into with people. Like I see a lot of people pleasing behaviors in hopes that they will get what they actually want by people pleasing enough. I imagine that's a dynamic you might see in marriages as well. Not that I know anything about that. And that's where I will during those, especially at the beginning of a session, when I start noticing that and I see how they respond to, okay, would you like a hug? If the answer is no, fine. They can sit in the chair. I'll sit on the bed. We can continue to talk if they would feel comfortable with that, or play a game, or I can show them the book of cuddles where they can see other cuddle poses. I'll show you.
I was gonna ask you about the different cuddle poses. Oh,
yes,
there's a
I love this.
Yes. Book of cuddles. I'm getting you that.
Dr. Yoni Alkin. I can give you a link for this. He's incredible, and I love that.
I would love a link for that. That would be amazing.
So one I really like the book. It's one that I go to. Where is it? Come on now. I'd like to do a version. I'll sometimes suggest and see if they're open to it. And I'll usually ask, because if they're like, I don't know what I want, I'll ask, would you rather be held right now, or would you rather hold me? And so regardless of if they say, I want to be held or I want you to hold me, I'll usually ask them to do a version of this one. It's called the Safe Cradle. If you look in what's called the Cuddle Sutra, they call it Mama Bear, Papa Bear. But basically, it's nice and easy for people to not have to have a whole lot of eye contact or face-to-face time. They're both looking in the same direction. It's a little bit more removed. It's not as overwhelmingly intimate as, say, spooning or something like that.
So for anybody who's not watching and they're listening, it's more of one person sits and the other person sits on their lap. So like your back is turned to the other person. It reminds me of when you're practicing giving birth. Yeah, that kind of does look like that. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. As a childless woman, that's very interesting to me.
Like a Lamaze class. Well, you see it on they're in a Lamaze, so you kind of like sit back on somebody. That's what it kind of looks like. Yeah.
Huh. I might be.
That's just how I watch TV. I do have a question. So what happens if you particularly, Sam, what happens if you get uncomfortable?
Oh, I make it very clear, like even before we really get started, it's like, you trust me that if I get uncomfortable, that I will let you know as soon as I realize it.
Okay. By uncomfortable, I don't mean like emotionally uncomfortable. Like I know when Brandon and I go to like my foot falls asleep or my arm falls asleep, and it's like, oh, I gotta move. Like, yeah, I want to stay next to you. I just have to move a little bit.
Yes, same thing. First of all, up front, when I say I will let you know as soon as I realize that I'm uncomfortable, I mean literally everything. So it might even be small things. So yeah, like if a foot is asleep or something like that, or my arm is dying from spooning jail, which I tried not to do anyways, because there's actually really easy solutions to that people don't realize. But then there's also like, I don't know, like, oh, my arm's in a weird spot. My body doesn't bend that way. We did like the cuddle Tetris, like limbs are not in the right spots. Like I call it cuddle Tetris because we're just trying to figure out where the blocks go. But there's always an option to just say, oh, hey, I need to move this real quick. And that's kind of like what's called a soft no, because not saying, no, I don't want this. Like, let's end this now. Which when people hear no as a complete answer, I see a lot of people, especially newer to like setting boundaries, will take that to the extreme. But the problem is that because of the tone and context of that, the people around them may interpret that the worst possible way when they're not intending to. So
can I expand on that for a second? Yeah, I do. This is a little bit off topic, but not really. I am in an industry where people come up to me all the time, and I'll have just met them and we'll be talking and we'll go to say our goodbye. Joey, I don't know if you've experienced this too. We go to say our goodbyes and they're like, I'm a hugger. And it's like, I am too, but I met you 5 minutes ago. Right. So Sam, just because you're a hugger doesn't mean that, and we don't know each other to that level yet in my mind. I'm a hugger too, but I'm not I'm not hugging with you, lady. I'm not hugging with you.
So how do you gently let someone down? Because I don't want to hurt their feelings, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, pat.
I imagine when they're saying it, they're also like, they have their whole body into it, like being like, yeah, I'm a hugger. I'm a hugger. That's so hard to turn down too. So actually in the way that I do my group sessions, and I do group workshops, I'm starting those up in March. Like we actually teach people not to do that because they don't want to use their nonverbal body to ask for a hug. Like we actually encourage them to put all of the, like use neutral body language and just say, would you like a hug?
Okay.
Which is much easier to turn down rather than, would you like a hug? Because then it's like not about you. You're trying to help, like gratify the person that's asking for the hug. In day to day, it is really hard to turn down. But once you've actually had enough practice, which I do practice that in my sessions, shameless plug, it's much easier to turn down. So I recommend soft no's in that respect. So it might be like, not today, or not right now, or I'd love to, but no. Like whatever feels most comfortable for you. I tell even new cuddle therapists, because I help mentor some of them as well, that as they're trying to figure things out with their own consent, to have a phrase that they go to that they can go back and time again as like their tripwire, but boundary is either being soft violated or close to violated. Let's stop it now. For me, in session, not necessarily in real life, but like if I sense that my thing is, hey, can you be mindful of whatever body part is touching me? That's, you are doing whatever the action is, and I'm not comfortable with that. Like that is automatic for me. So if like somebody's like going near like my chest area, I'm like, hey, can you be mindful of your hands? Your hands are close to my chest and I'm not comfortable with that. Like automatically that comes out of my mouth. And that makes
you don't have a safe word, you have a safe phrase.
Yes. Because it's not just about, how do I put this? I love the kink community. I'm part of the kink community. Not quite so active now. I love the idea of safe words as agreed upon phrases to go back to. In my sessions, I prefer to have phrases that everybody can understand, whether they have any kind of background in what to expect or not. And that goes for like real life too. Like it might be like, oh, I'm not comfortable with that today. If somebody's like, I'm a hugger, I'm like, cool, I'm not comfortable with this today.
I'm just going to tell everybody I don't feel well. Yeah. Yeah. Now I tell everyone I just don't feel well. I don't feel well. So you know what I have? Well, just cough in their face.
Well, that means I get 0 hugs from that person ever again. So be careful there.
I don't actually know what the kink world is. So we're going to have to go back to that another time, but we're going to have to skip over that because we're running out of time. Yeah. I don't know a lot in life, Sam. I will say though, you explaining it and you talking about the people coming in and how they maybe are disconnected or that they need even just a hug is actually, I'm a huge mental health advocate.
No, absolutely.
I do understand that. But you must be used to people like me who just can't get there to like fully understand it. But you have shed some light, Mandy, right? To you too?
Oh, completely.
It does make sense. Because in my head, it just seems very dangerous to me. And it seems very like, but a massage therapist could be in danger then too. And then my head is spinning right now. I was thinking like, here she was talking about dance and ballroom dancing and she's hip to hip and they're grinding up on each other in little tiny dresses and like
grinding up against each other.
Oh my gosh. Like what? At least
she watches a different kind of ballroom dancing.
That's not ballroom dancing. That's just straight up like sex with clothes on.
Dirty vehicle.
She's watching Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, nobody puts baby in the corner.
Exactly.
So, but
Terry to watermelon.
Like, so it's so normal and it's entertaining. So I'm thinking like, okay, well that seems so normal, but then this doesn't seem normal to me. So yeah, it's me. I'm the problem. So, but
whoa, absolutely not. You're not the problem.
So, but I do understand it more. But for the sake of time, so obviously this is a divorce podcast, right? And so we have mostly divorced women, although we have other listeners now, especially our friends, right? That listen. Yeah. So just as say a divorcee is listening right now or watching, and, we'll say she for this, because are you sneezing? God bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you. That was a very gentle sneeze. She's a gentle person.
You're okay.
Very good. Okay. So a divorcee is watching or listening, and they're thinking, okay, I could be interested in this. What would be a reason maybe someone going through a divorce? But it could be disconnection. It could be they're feeling lonely. It could be somebody who already went through the divorce and now they have to get back out into the world of dating, which is horrific after a divorce. And they haven't touched somebody probably for a long time, right? So I feel like this could be beneficial to.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's so funny that we're re-recording this today because I just, like, a client of mine just graduated today, and he was considering divorcing a year ago. He separated back in, I want to say, like July, August. And we started working together during that time. It varied between every week to every month between when we started up till a month ago. And he started trying to date during that time too. And what he found was that a lot of the skills that he gained through sessions here helped him with dating, because if he had just gone out into the world and started dating, I think he might have had a much harder time, because in his marriage, she was like, his wife was not a touchy person. So he was touch starved, which is a legitimate concern. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, when somebody's touch starved, they tend to subject all the people around them that will give them the time of day or any remote touch, and they drink it up. And it's not necessarily, I have a lot of compassion for them, but I also, yes, they need to also read the room a little. It's harder to do that when you're starved for touch.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think not just literally coming in to get the touch needs met, but also understanding consent around touch. Like, you can get this need met, but we need to ask for what you want exactly so I can give it to you. And we can also adjust so that if you're enjoying something and you want something else, even though you're still enjoying this, I need to know so we can do that. Uh-huh. And then just even a lot of like the navigation of like just dating. I'm not necessarily a dating expert in any capacity. I don't claim to be, but I do think that through sessions, people learn how to communicate with other human beings, and that on a basic level can be very helpful for dating.
Right.
Because also we're not looking to get their needs met by like their touch needs met immediately by the first person that will give them the time of day. Right. That person is like somebody that is willing to do that may still be attractive, but that's not the only thing they have going for them. They are interested in them in other ways, and it's not blinding because they're so starved themselves, which is a huge deal. Like, the last thing people need is to get out of a marriage and then go into the first relationship that's like a rebound. It's basically the rebound phenomenon. Very common thing to do, not getting into necessarily the best relationship you possibly can right after all of that, but also letting yourself have that time to yourself and encouraging yourself to not put yourself out there either. But I love this because he did end up starting to date. He seems to have a very good relationship. He even told her that he was seeing me, and she was just like, I don't know how comfortable I am with you seeing her anymore. And I'm like, I'm not even mad. Like, you guys have an open conversation about this and like had an agreement. Like, that's great. I'm glad. I hope everything works out for you guys. I wish I could do more to help you, but like, obviously, like, that's not within your relationship boundaries. Some people will talk about it. Some people won't. I really appreciate that he was open with his partner. Honestly, not my responsibility to navigate that. Unfortunately,
She got in there, and that's awesome.
And I'm so happy. Like, there's
That's
so
awesome.
much good that can happen from that. And I'm really excited to see what happens with him and her. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's good. A happy story. All right. That's great. Well, Sam, I don't know. I think I'm so glad you came on. I feel like we could do like at least 5.
I think so too.
This is going in my life. I wrote down questions. There was things coming up as you were talking, and I'm going to go back to the parents. I'm assuming your parents are good with this now. I don't know, right? I'm guessing.
Generally, my mom's definitely been on board. Actually, my mom was the one that gave me the book of Cuddles for Christmas one year. So,
All right. See, so okay, that's good. That's a happy story too. All right. Well, Sam, thank you so much. So we can follow you on Instagram, Snuggle to Sam.
it would be snugglewithsam.com. As far as mentorship and learning more about running a business as a professional cuddler / cuddle therapist. I also run.
If somebody wants to be so somebody wants to be a cuddle therapist. Okay,
so snugglewithsam.com is my personal private practice. Cuddlecrew.com it's for mentorship.
Cuddlecrew.com. Okay, awesome. We'll put those links in too.
Awesome.
And yeah, if I think of anything else, I'm gonna march right down the hallway, and we have the same door. So
Please do. Hopefully you can find me. It's a little bit of a maze here.
it is a maze. It is a maze. So thank you, Sam, so much. This was very, very, very
Loved it. Yes. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me.
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
All right, we'll bring you back. Bye for now. Exactly. Bye, Sam.
Bye, Sam. All right. How you feeling?
My glasses fogged up. Look,
You having a hot
see
flash? Yeah.
that's
Crazy.
That's not like a light. That's my glasses are foggy right now. It's like,
It's so crazy.
yeah, I need to. Oh, yeah. Mandy,
That's crazy. It was awesome.
what do you think? What do you think about this?
Well, is she
Tell me
on?
now. Is she here right now?
No. Is she on? Snuggle with Sam. There she is on Instagram.
Sam. Yes.
I'm going to follow her.
And then snugglewithsam.com. So what do you think about the whole thing? Are you into it?
I'll snuggle with Brandon all day long.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I'm lucky enough to never have been. Well, that's a lie. I don't know, because I have been in a position where I wasn't touched. And that is one of my love languages. Touch and time.
Okay.
Touch and
Well,
time.
you're divorced. Yeah,
I'm divorced, and there are reasons why. But now I'm with a person that loves that, because that's his love language too, is time and touch. And so it's a great partnership, and it's a good thing. I can't say that I've ever been to the point where I would seek help for it, but I think that if you go long enough without something like that, I can see where, yes, you do need it.
right.
It releases all the good hormones. It makes you, that's why they do skin on skin, right? As soon as you're born, what do they tell
Right
them
now,
to do?
how they do that. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you're born, right on your chest, touch them.
And
feel 'em.
it's good that she's definitely a professional. Obviously, she's learned over the years. I cannot, with that story about bringing people into her apartment. As a mother of a 23-year-old, that's all I felt when she was saying, "Oh, I brought them." It seemed safe, and I was like, "No, like I can't."
She is very, very lucky. She is extremely lucky, because there's no one.
She sees things through the eyes of like, I don't trust anybody, and I see everything for it's going to turn out bad, which probably me too. I'll think, and I go to therapy every other week for stuff like that I always think that the other shoe is going to drop. So that's actually not a good thing. That's anxiety. But to some extent though, she sees everything through the eyes of, no, it's fine. This person's just being, emotional or, she's kind of just seeing things a little bit differently, and knows that she's a smart person. She's so smart. She's an engineer.
She's so smart.
went to a really good school in Massachusetts for engineering. So she's not a dum-dum.
No, she's not. And I think she's like she said, she's done all that work on herself, which I would think you would have to do to be in that position, to not take things personal and to know that people's struggles are exactly that. They're owned and not by you.
It's awfully nice of her, I gotta say.
Super nice.
You gotta be a certain person, just like
Absolutely.
only certain people could be nurses and teachers too. These are professions that not everybody can do. So, well, I'm glad that we had her in, and
Me too.
that's it. So, all right, we're gonna wrap up, Mandy.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, if you are still here and you're still listening, that means that you made it to the end of yet another episode. And if it was your first time here, are we sorry? No.
No, we're not. So
We're not sorry. No. You might be sorry. I don't know. We will see you next time on My Ex Appeal. But for now, make sure you head over to our Instagram page, my_ex appeal, and follow us on Instagram. Hit a button, as Mandy would say. Help a girl out.
share us.
Share us. We're doing great things. We're talking. All right. All right. We will see you next time on My Ex Appeal.
Thanks to our listeners, sponsors, and our lawyers on My Ex Appeal and Everything Divorce Podcast.